I'm sure by now you've heard of the new policies that have been outlined by the country Canada for prospective students who want to further their education in Canada. Well, not too great of a news for some people who will be impacted negatively by this new policy, but well, there's a reason for that. I will just be helping you break down what the sector minister mentioned some few days ago and what its impact is likely to be on prospective candidates. Don't be too worried, okay? We're going to talk about it and we'll be delving in right about now. But my name is Kweku Eduama and so welcome to my YouTube channel. And you know how we do it? Just join the family of over 1,000 people, get the right information, and remember that I am not an expert in this field, neither am I an immigration officer. I'm just sharing my in-depth analysis of information that are publicly made to every single person.
Unacceptable that some private institutions have taken advantage of international students by operating under-resourced campuses, lacking supports for students, and charging high tuition fees, all the while significantly increasing their intake of international students. Today, I am announcing 3 principal measures. 1, a temporary 2-year cap on new international student permits. It is the latest in a series of measures to improve program integrity and set international students up for the success in order to maintain a sustainable level of temporary residence in Canada as well. To ensure that there is no further growth in the number of international students in Canada for 2024, we are setting a national application intake cap for a period of 2 years. For 2024, the cap is expected to result in approximately 364,000 approved study permits, a decrease of 35% from 2023. In the spirit of fairness, we are also allocating the cap space by province based on population, such as that some provinces will see much more significant reductions. We'll continue to work closely with those provinces and territories to put these measures into place, as they will be responsible for determining how the cap is distributed between its designated learning institutions that they have jurisdiction over. I've had productive.
Right, welcome back again. Now let's get into it right about now. I want us to start off with the new policies that have been outlined by Canada. Well, for people who are venturing into furthering their education in Canada. There are 3 of them, but I will just be highlighting 2 of them. I think these are the most important things or the ones that you need to know about. First off is the 2-year temporary cap on international student permit. Well, I'm sure that has been the headline in the various spaces that you've been watching. Yes, there's going to be a 2-year temporary cap on the number of international students that get admission or get study permits into Canada. And this is going to impact people negatively because we understand that at least 35% of people who had study permits last year, that is the year 2023, are going to be affected. So it means that now they are estimating that about 364,000 study permits are going to be issued. And this is a decrease in the number of people who were given study permits last year, that is the year 2023. So it means that your chances of getting into Canada to further your education is now a little bit limited because obviously people are going to be impacted by this new policy. But the key thing is that there are causes for this new policy that is coming up. And I'm sure you've heard about issues of accommodation in Canada for people who are pursuing their either undergraduate or going to the college, even furthering their education in master's, doctoral degrees, amongst others. Well, people have been impacted. Some are left stranded for this reason because they do not have the right accommodation, and the government is blaming this on the private institutions because there's a policy for the private public partnership where institutions that are private schools can partner with government, have people to enroll in their schools and all of that. The government feels that these private schools are taking advantage of it, and for that matter. It is making people stranded. People are not getting good accommodation. They are paying exorbitant fees. I'm sure if you know someone who has been to Canada to school, you would understand this terrain. They pay so much for accommodation. They pay so much to even get tuition in these schools, and the government feels that it is not the right way to go, and for this reason it is taking these steps. And so now the private schools would be monitored strictly so that they do not go overboard. That is one of the reasons. But as I've told you, about 35% of people who had admission or had study permits last year will not be having it in this year. That's the year 2024, and also in the year 2025. It is going to be reviewed in the year 2025 to see how well it is doing. The government of Canada says that this is also supposed to monitor and to make sure that the number of international students that come into the country, it's not projected higher. And so that is one of the main reasons. But now the question is that, is this going to impact your quest to get into Canada to further education? Well, I will tell you that do not be dismayed. Try it, because we do not know who is going to be given the permit. And so it could be you. You could be the lucky one. So why sit down and say that because it's been reduced or it's been capped, you don't want to try your luck? You can try your luck. If it goes through for you, you can go in there and further your education. And you know, there are a number of people who go to Canada because they feel that getting education there is of a higher pedestal. It is true. Getting education in Canada, the US, the UK, Australia, among some other countries, is highly respected. And so people are always going to throng that particular place. But you would always want to try your luck, because at least 364,000 student permits are expected to be released. It could be you, so you have to try that.
As of September 1st of this year, postgraduate work permits will no longer be available to public-private institution models. Thirdly, in the coming weeks, we'll be announcing that open work permits will only be allowed and be available to spouses of international students enrolled in master's and doctoral programs, as well as professional programs such as medicine and law. Spouses of international students enrolled in other levels of study, including undergraduate and college programs, will no longer be eligible. To be clear, the cap will not apply to applicants within Canada looking to extend their studies, as it wouldn't be fair to prevent someone from finishing the program, nor will the cap have an effect on study permit holders currently in Canada. These temporary measures will be in place for 2 years, and the number of new study permit applications that will be accepted in 2025 will be reassessed at the end of this year.
Now let's move on to the other policy that has also been implemented or has been outlined by the Canadian government. It is about the spousal work visa or permit. Well, previously, if you applied to school in Canada and you are married, you have kids and all of that, you are given the opportunity to bring in your spouse, and your spouse is given a work permit because your spouse is made eligible and made legal, and they expect that your spouse can work to support you to even pay your school fees and also have a good life in Canada. Well, that hopes will be cut short in this year and the year 2024, but not for every person. It is going to be cut short for people who are getting into Canada for their college studies or to do their undergraduate studies. And so for people doing their masters, their doctoral, their professional courses like lawyers and medicine, like that, those fields would be spared. But those in the undergraduate studies would not be spared. They would be affected. You cannot bring in your spouse again because your spouse is not going to be given a work permit to work with you. And this, I've already indicated to you that it's a way by the Canadian government to cut down the number of immigrants thronging into the country, and also to make sure that they do not have higher projection of immigrants in Canada. So you need to take note of this. Maybe your spouse would have to wait for you. If the government refuses it in the year 2025 and feels that, well, they can bring it back, they can institute it again, that could be some good news for you. So these are the two main things I think you need to know even as you pursue your Canadian education dream. Well, so that's how I'm going to draw the curtains on today's episode. Many thanks for joining me, but you know how we do it, right? Please do subscribe now so that I can give you more information. But do not be dismayed. This is not going to affect you entirely. You could still try your luck, and may God be with you.